On today's show, the guys try and snap out of that tryptophan haze and get back to the business at hand. Two turkeys talking turkey on this episode. Fasten your seatbelts. It may be a bumpy ride heading into the holiday season. There's also an EduTech tip of the week. All of that and more up next on EduTechGuys. You're listening to the EduTechGuys. EduTechGuys.com. Hello and welcome to this episode of EduTech Guys. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for hopping in, hopping on, grabbing this thing.
Putting down that pumpkin pie and getting over to the headphones.
That's right, putting down the leftover turkey sandwich.
Yeah, I saw a post today that said, hey, I'm sitting down on the couch with two leftover turkey sandwiches to flip through Netflix.
Exactly.
Hey, thanks for tuning into the show. You can catch us on the web. Just go out to Google, type in EduTech Guys. You're going to find us. You can also find us at www.edutechguys.com. Someone actually finished the website finally.
Hey, someone, that had to be you.
Got a color problem at the bottom, but I'm going to go with it.
Had to be you.
Well, it's a new redesigned website. It's slimmed down, lightened up, low drag. It's
unlike the hosts. We're certainly not slimmed down.
I saw a picture of us from 5 years ago. I was like, who are those guys?
Yeah,
I don't recognize those dudes. No. Some young, svelte-looking men right there. You can also catch us on social media.
I've never been svelte.
Svelte. No. You can check us out on social media. We're awfully svelte over there. Just look up EduTech Guys, twitter.com, facebook.com, instagram.com, stuff.com/EduTech Guys. You'll find us out there on the social media. Exactly. Svelte. That's a word. I don't think people use that word much anymore.
I would imagine not.
I'm a blithering idiot when it comes to grammar and speaking, but then these words come to me from, 1922. Svelte, use that word. The kids are in the gas-powered horse-drawn carriage, and they're svelte, and they're dapper, and they're svelte and dapper. That's us.
Svelte and dapper.
The dapper EduTech Guys.
That's going to be our spin-off show. Svelte and dapper.
Svelte and dapper. Yeah. And okay. Hi, welcome to Svelte and Dapper. I'm Terry.
Oh, my goodness. They're going to kick us off the air. Oh, wait.
It's the interwebs. Wait, we've already been kicked out of everywhere else.
Well,
it's interesting. We were talking about, what to talk about. And over Thanksgiving, I know you've all come back off the holiday. It's the week after. And now it's the dreaded mad dash to Christmas. There's no dread to it. Yeah, there's a dread. Please, Lord, give me time to buy Christmas. Get these kids tested with finals. Get out of school. And, everybody, that's the weirdest thing. A week off for Thanksgiving is what most schools do now.
Right.
And then you're in school for not even 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the kids know it, and the teachers know it, and the parents know it, and, the resellers know it, and the retailers, and Amazon knows it. And, well, now that I've said it 5 times, Siri and Google and everybody else knows it, too. My phone's sitting right here.
On your Facebook feed now, buddy.
But, it gave me time to kind of catch up on some stuff and look at some things out there. And I noticed that there's a lot of armchair quarterbacks, in the educational market, talking a lot of stuff, who probably haven't stepped foot into a real classroom, considering this is our sophomore year of the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them haven't even stepped into the classroom in Lord knows how long. And I think we can all agree, if you're listening to this now and you're an educator, you can agree that it's changed. It's changing almost monthly at this point, because the technology is still just moving forward. The thing I find interesting is that the curriculum isn't changing. It doesn't really need to change. I mean, yes, we have computer science and some things there that we didn't have in the past.
Sure.
We did, but not to this level. But, the curriculum hasn't changed. And the way to get to the learning, of that curriculum hasn't changed. The mode, the method of the technology is changing tremendously. But the students are changing, and their characters are changing, and their attitudes are changing, and their belief system is changing. And I believe that that's 70% or greater of a classroom environment. Would you agree with that? It's that's a reason to be back in the classroom, is to know exactly. I said today to somebody, I said, those teachers right there, it's just like feeding tigers. That's what a modern classroom looks like, feeding tigers. Because the one time you get in and the door shuts behind you, you're a dead man.
Well, I think it's definitely important for some of these, as you call them, armchair quarterback educators / especially in the edutech, in the commercial edutech world, where they might have an educator on staff, a former educator on staff, who hasn't been anywhere near a classroom, especially during this particular time. Prior to the pandemic, and now, like you said, our sophomore year, prior to all of that, frankly, those folks who hadn't been in the classroom for a while, you could still get away with it. Things hadn't really changed. I mean, let's just face it. There's been technology, there's been some updates, but for the most part, education really hasn't changed much since ever. And so then the pandemic rolls around, and for a lot of folks, it's really changed how education, like you said, how it's being delivered, but also what's going on with students. And I truly think there are many, especially companies out there, but former educators who they've lost touch. They have no idea. And they're trying to peddle their wares and peddle their speeches and peddle their programs to schools and teachers and students where those folks are frankly no longer relevant if they're not adapting. And a lot of them are not adapting. You can tell by the content that they're putting out there is still pretty much the same content they were putting out there before. Right. You can tell, especially some of those folks who are looking to be brought in for special events or whatever, that they're still doing the same thing they were doing prior to the pandemic. And I'm sorry, you just can't do that.
Try to reinvent themselves all of a sudden with the old stuff.
Well, yeah, and you can now. I'm all about reinventing yourself, but by all means, and as a fact, you ought to be. You need to be, and frankly, you should have already done so. But to me, the big issue is, like you just said, if you are reinventing yourself with your old stuff, is that really reinventing yourself? I don't know.
Right. I don't think it is. I think you're exactly right. It's not reinventing yourself. It's just trying to shove a new, yeah. I think it's interesting what you're talking about. And it's interesting, the people that are doing it are like influencers online. And I think this is where once a certain age group of social media ingesters, that's a right word.
Sure.
Get to an age, or they get to a jaded point where they realize they've been following this influencer, and it's like, oh, this person has all this, and they do all this, and they're traveling to Belize and these islands, and they have all this Yeezys on their feet and gold chains and the whole bit, and they do this, and then they meditate, and they're real positive about this, and they have this great plan of doing this. Well, they also have things you don't have, and that's things like an unlimited bank account or unlimited time. And I think a lot of our armchair quarterbacks in the education and tech education industry, that's what they've become. They've made so much money off of their appearances, their workshops, their online stuff, their books, that they're pushing this stuff. But once again, you're not a 24/7 teacher who's getting up and getting 3 kids ready by 7 o'clock in the morning and getting them to school and then getting to their campus by 7:15 to meet their kids at the door by 7:45. And I know I'm way off on these times. These teachers are going, 7:45? Wait, you sleeping in there, Mr. Man? But there it is. And then I've got to work all day. I've got to take a 30-minute lunch and call my parents and do this during my break time and get this finished, hit the copy machine, try to get this stuff done, get out by 4, pick up my kids, get home, make dinner, clean up everybody, get baths, get homework done, get them, and then what am I supposed to do? When am I supposed to sit down with my Zen garden and contemplate and think about my day and what good stuff happened during it? And that's a big deal. And I think that the armchair influencers of tech and education right now, that's what they become. And they become well paid, completely out of the zone. It's like some of our NFL quarterbacks, who, well, you're going to fine me $20,000 because I didn't tell you that I didn't take the antivirus vaccine. So
yeah,
I dropped that on at the convenience store on the way over here, so it's not a big deal. And I believe that's become a lot of our people that are out there, and a lot of our companies are becoming that way. When you and I were looking at websites earlier today, and we saw the maker of this one website, and we went, well, that girl's got some money.
Yeah.
Because we go, well, that's, they can afford to, have you a shot. I don't care. You don't want our website? No, we'll just get rid of your district. It's gone. Boom. Doesn't exist anymore. Put our own in there. But I think that that's the biggest deal to me is I've noticed that some of the biggest influencers are just like the other influencers on the web at this point. They've got more money, more time, more opportunity to just come up with these harebrained schemes and these ideas. Not that they're bad ideas, but are they realistic in the lives of a teacher in a school district with 800 kids in a rural area in the United States with 3 children of her or his own, trying to keep their family together, on the income that they pay teachers, and the time, and dealing with, I had a teacher say, I don't want this piece of technology yet because I don't have time to learn it. And at first I was a little like, well, you're okay, fine, you're not going to get it. But then I was like, wait a second, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Don't come into my department and go, hey, we're putting a whole new server system in. You're never going to use Windows again. Okay, what, huh? And it's going to be going next week, so you just have to do it. No, I'm not going to do that. Completely get it now. So, live and let live, walk a mile in their shoes, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I truly believe you're exactly right. We've got to reset somehow and get back to, because being our sophomore year in the pandemic, and now that they're telling us that we're going to go, to graduate, we have 2 more years possibly. Yeah. Did you take the third year of? No, I haven't taken that yet.
Right, yeah, so.
Did you take the third year of vaccination mandatory every 6 months? No, I haven't done that one yet. Okay, well, you're going to need those hours before we're going to let you graduate from the pandemic.
That's
so,
right. Mask improvement. Mask 307.
Now that's good. Did you take the SAGRAC course? Which one is it? It's called Masking Your Cows.
Masking your cows. Mask your cat.
You know what they sound like?
Cat masking.
What did that cat say? I don't know. He had a mask on. But to me, we've got to get back to and prepare for it, because I just have this weird feeling that we're looking at another, home, pandemic, let's send everybody to the house kind of quarantine thing. I just have this weird feeling about it. You remember what that was like when we first did it, and we were just scrambling to figure out a way to make it work.
Well, and since we're especially, we're kind of changing, we're kind of shifting gears here a little bit.
We're all over the place. I told you better bet. David warned you at the first. Fasten your seatbelt. It's a bumpy ride to the holidays.
That's right.
Ho ho ho. Mm-mm.
But as we shift gears over to that, and we talked about this in a previous show, where almost, I don't know about across the United States, but I can speak for what's happened pretty much in the state of Arkansas, is that most of the districts went back to the way things, quote unquote, used to be. They went back to education the same way they were doing education before the pandemic, which I think is ludicrous and crazily short-sighted, especially now if it turns out that we do have whatever Greek letter there happen to be up to at any given point, and we do have a second shutdown. Well, okay, so now a lot of those districts are going to have to turn around and re-scramble because they killed off whatever they were doing during that pandemic time. They've killed it off. They've shut it down, done away with it. So now they're essentially going to be starting from scratch again.
Yeah, and I think that the saddest part of that whole thing is that the fact we dropped what was actually all the good that came from online learning and the emphasis that was put on it. We realized we were reaching a whole new subset of students that was their thing. Like, oh, yeah, this is my jam. I love online learning. I can get this thing done. We actually, I'm not sure if it's our district or one I was just told about, that we have a student who can graduate in the 10th grade.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've gotten all these online courses and even taken college courses at this point. But it's sad that we didn't learn from that and realize, wait, we can do so much more at this point.
Well, I think the big problem is that the students who didn't do well in that environment, and I get it, not every student thrives in an online environment. My daughter's one of them. She couldn't stand the online stuff. Now, I will tell you, a big part of it was the instructor, and is the instructor. She still has some online courses.
Yeah.
And it's the instructor. The instructors are, frankly, horrible at shifting what they're used to doing live in a classroom face-to-face over to online. I don't know what their particular the folks who train them have done or not done, but they have not done a good job. That's what they've not. That's what they've done. They've done not good. Proper English there. But all of that to say, I think part of the issue is that we hear, and especially right after that, the state wanted to know, what are your scores? What are your test scores? We got to test these kids. Test them right after they came back from the pandemic. And what does it look like? Well, they sucked. I mean, it was awful. It was one of those things where we were all kind of going through this brand new thing. We were all trying to monitor, all trying to adjust. And so you take all of these negatives and go, oh, yeah, no, that didn't work. We're going to scrap the whole thing. But then essentially ignore or forget about those that you mentioned who flourished during this and go, wait a minute, you don't need to throw out the bath with the baby with the bathwater or whatever. Right. That expression's older than I am.
Yeah.
So I don't remember how it goes. But anyhow, you don't want to, you're killing off an entire program because there are some people who, well, frankly, it probably was a majority. I don't know, but there was a population who it did not work for, ignoring the population that it absolutely worked for.
But you see, and the same thing goes for teachers. We had so many teachers who excelled at online learning, and now so many districts went, well, these two teachers are going to handle all the online learning now that we just have these small groups of kids are going to stay home. Well, what about the rest of these teachers that were getting good at it? Now you've said, listen, now go back to normal. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And we're not picking that up somewhere with the workshops and the opportunities for them to get that pickup. You said that throughout with the bathwater. That's one of my favorite sayings, and I learned the original saying. Now this was told to me that the original saying was in the back in the day of the Depression, and there wasn't a lot of hot water. You made the hot water, and the dad bathed, and everybody bathed all the way down, from top to bottom, and then when you got to the babies, they were bathed last, and the water was so dirty that you'd lose them in the water, and you'd throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I'm off a little bit, but that's supposedly why you threw it out. And it's really funny because when I think about that a lot, I think about what that means in education. If you take that same scenario of how we do things, and then we get to the very bottom, and we've dirtied up everything so bad that we lose something in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you and I say all the time, you only get one third grade year. You only get one seventh grade year. And what have we done, here at Pandemic U, where are we sitting at? Well, hey, we told you that it was going to be a bumpy ride into the holidays, and we were hoping you wanted to hear something from us. We have some guests coming on later this month that we're excited to have on the show.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking forward to that. I tell you, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a quick EduTech tip of the day, of the week, of the month. Who knows about that? But we'll be right back after this.
You can bring the EduTechGuys to your conference or school. Just visit www.edutechguys.com, fill out the form, and you can bring David and Jeff to your school to visit with your staff, your students, and even your community. The fun and excitement of being interviewed and on a podcast with the EduTechGuys at edutechguys.com.
Hey, welcome back. Thank you so much for listening to EduTech Guys. We're here. Jeff's got this week's EduTech tip.
The EduTech tip. We're still working on that theme song. Hey, listen, if you're ever out there in Chrome starts to run bad. Well, Chrome runs bad all the time. Anyway, no, it's not. It's a memory hog. It can do its thing, and there's always 7 or 8 updates a week. One of the cool things you can do, though, is you can go in and you can disable some options in the advanced settings to help make the thing run better. One of those is under advanced settings is using hardware acceleration when available. That's a great one to turn off that way, or turn on depending on what you're looking to use it for. more. And also the one that says continue running background apps when Chrome is closed. That's a big one. If you want to see your machine really start to, crank out some problems, and if you're on a Windows machine especially, or a Mac, you can look at those services and you'll see that Chrome service still running even when you've got Chrome, knocked out. So there's that one right there. There's also a really cool thing that we like. It's like you go to a website, you see some cool stuff you want to steal. Or you just want to know what's making the page work in the background. You can always go up to the top and you can go to the Inspect Tools, which is under Edit. You'll find it at the bottom. And if you go to the Inspect Tools, it'll show you the coding in the background. And it's really nice. It's a wonderful thing, especially if you're teaching kids to code, to show them where that is. And they can look up what code, what CSS, what Java, what's running in the background of a page. And it's a really cool piece. So, a quick little one right there for you, a quick little EduTech tip to take you into next week when we're back with more, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the Inspect Tools, one of the other cool things you can do with that is if you go to somebody else, let's say you're on somebody's webpage or you're on a blog or something, and they've got a video that's embedded in there, but it doesn't show like it doesn't say, watch on YouTube or watch on Vimeo or any of that kind of stuff. You can use those Inspect Tools to go down and 9 times out of 10, you can look through that code and you can actually find the address where that video is coming from. You can copy that address, put the address in your address bar at the top, and then when you go to it, you'll see the video without that whole blog stuff all around it. So that's one of the things that I use it for.
I'll tell you something else I use the Inspect Tool for is that the Inspect Tool lets you change the code for the page you're looking at and will actually change the page if you know what you're doing. So like if you see a video of Jeff and David, it says Jeff and David at FETC, interviewing guests, you can change it to, Jeff and David both buy llama farm in Peru. And the page will come up looking like that. So if you wanted to, spoof something, that's a great way to spoof.
Now remember, it only changes it while
just
you're
the live
looking
one.
at it.
Yeah, you're looking at it. It's not going to. You're not hacking the page by any means.
No,
we do not condone that here. Although it would be cool. So anyway,
but that's also it's also a fun activity that you can have that you can do with your students, especially your computer science students or students who frankly tend to be troublemakers to start with. Hey, give them some trouble that they're allowed to get into. But seriously, you have them bring up the Inspect Tools, go to MSNBC or CNN or whatever, and they can search for the different text that's on the page, and they can make the page say whatever they want to, and then take a screenshot of that or whatever. Granted, it's just for their session at that time. No one else sees it.
We're not condoning it by any means of being a thing.
You're not hacking those sites. Like
Mom, I love Dr. Mr. Henderson. He's the greatest teacher ever. He gave us matches and pointed us right in the direction of the gasoline. It was wonderful.
Never mind.
No, I think it's a great thing. That's where all the greatest coders I ever know were hackers. Wanted to be hackers at the first end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, listen, we hope you've had a great time with us. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.edutechguys.com and all that social media. Just look up EduTech Guys. You're going to find us. Please stay in contact with us. Just contact at edutechguys.com. You can email us if you want to, or on our page. There is actually a subscription to our newsletter.
Yeah.
Right now it's a newsletter. It says newsletter. That's what you get. Picture of me.
Picture of Jeff with newsletter.
With a turkey on my head.
That well.
A la Friends. So there's one. People. Oh, he watches Friends. Turn him off. So anyway, hey, listen, it's been a great show. I'm Jeff Madlock.
I have no idea what's happening. I'm David Henderson.
We'll talk to you next time. Okay. Anyway, hey, I'm Jeff Madlock. This is David Henderson, but we're getting out of here.
You've been listening to the EduTech Guys, edutechguys.com.